Hello. I'd like to talk today about the events that are taking place in Cote d'Ivoire. You probably hear that the president of Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo, was captured. Well, let's make things very clear. Mr. Laurent Gbagbo was not captured. The word capture here is appropriate for someone who was running away, like a savage animal or a bandit or a criminal. So Mr. Laurent Gbagbo was not captured. He was rather kidnapped. And I'll tell you why. For many years, Mr. Laurent Gbagbo has been a pioneer of democracy in Cote d'Ivoire, pioneer of multi-partyism. If you know the history of Cote d'Ivoire, we've had a one-party ruling for over 30 years. And if it wasn't for Mr. Gbagbo, who dared to challenge the late Houphouët-Boigny, first president of Cote d'Ivoire, we wouldn't have democracy today in Cote d'Ivoire. And while he was fighting against Houphouët-Boigny, Mr. Gbagbo did not use any type of weapon, firearm, to impose his will on the people or on Mr. Houphouët-Boigny. He was an intellectual, and he has remained an intellectual and a gentleman in his dealing with others. So this credit is to Mr. Gbagbo, who was able to instill a culture of modern democracy in Cote d'Ivoire and also in the part of the western region of Africa. Mr. Gbagbo won the elections in 2000. In 2002, there was a coup attempt. The coup attempt forced Mr. Gbagbo to accept the rebels in his government. After 3 years, they couldn't hold elections. So Mr. Gbagbo and the rest of his government remained in power according to the peace agreement they all signed. And it was under that peace agreement that they stayed there up to 2010. Not because Mr. Gbagbo was withholding power unconstitutionally, but because the peace agreement stipulated and also was backed by the Constitution, that if a country was in danger, which was the case, an election could not be held, and the president could elect to remain in power. That's why he remained in power for the past 10 years, along with the rebels in the government. Well, they all participated in the setting up of these elections, for which I was dearly opposed. But they went on, and the election turned into this situation. The reason why I'm trying to talk to you today about the issue in Cote d'Ivoire is that after the elections, we find ourselves, Cote d'Ivoire, find itself as the U.S. in 2000 during the Al Gore and George Bush elections. A decision needed to be made. They decided to recount the votes in certain areas. This is what happened in the United States. They recounted the votes peacefully, and the Supreme Court decided, and at the end of the recounting, that George Bush had won the elections and everything went back to normal. In 2010, the same thing happened in Côte d'Ivoire. Mr. Laurent Gbagbo has requested for the vote to be recounted. Unfortunately, his request was not approved by the United Nations. The United Nations refused to recount the votes in Côte d'Ivoire when the same process was approved in other countries. So we have here an equal weight. While Mr. Gbagbo was dialoguing, was talking to the other party, they were brewing terror and brandishing what they call legitimate power. So of these two, Mr. Gbagbo and his opponent, who are the more violent? Who are the more destructive? Someone is saying, well, we have a deadlock after the elections. Let's count the votes to see who won the elections. And another person say, I don't care about counting the elections. I don't want to count the votes. I just want you to get out. And I'm going to shoot at you. And it is exactly what they did. They went to the United Nations claiming that there were heavy weaponry in Côte d'Ivoire, that Mr. Gbagbo had used this weapon to kill his own people, which was not true. So they took that resolution, UN resolution, and start plundering the presidential palace and many residents, civilians residents in Côte d'Ivoire, saying that they were trying to destroy the heavy weaponry that Gbagbo had positioned and were using to kill his own people. Mind you that if the United Nations were very concerned about finding those weapons, they would have sent in some inspectors first and wait for the inspectors to render the result of their investigations. And they would have, in that investigation, everybody would have known where the weapons were and what it would take